What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is NCIS Season 15, Episode 8, Voices. So, this case was fairly interesting. It's a case that I have seen before in other shows, but it's not one I've seen done in NCIS before. So, it's fairly interesting in that respect. I don't know, because I've watched so many shows and a lot of crime mystery shows as well, I have seen this idea before. So, I don't know, it's a little bit disappointing from that respect because I kind of felt like I was ahead of the game on this one. But let's talk about it. So, a woman is jogging through the forest and all of a sudden she's hearing this voice saying, "Help me." She opens up the door and sees a body that's been long dead. And so she's kind of like, well, how is this possible? And so the rest of the team is like, well, is she psychic? Is she able to talk to the dead? Is this guy's ghost just talking to her? Ultimately, though, I figured it was going to go one of two ways. And the first way being that she actually might have some sort of psychic connection, but sort of leaving it on maybe I guess, a vague note of you don't really know whether or not she actually has these abilities or not. Or make it to where she was actually the one that committed these crimes, but she didn't know she was doing it, and so it was her subconscious sort of getting out of her, and that's how she was able to solve these crimes without realizing that she was actually the one that did it. Well, they went with the second route, and that's the one that I've seen a few times done before, so that's how I was already kind of ahead of the game on this one. But it's still interesting. It was still well done just to see the team sort of going back and forth, trying to decide whether or not they actually believe her. And then ultimately, what ends up happening is actually pretty clever, and I didn't see this part coming. Gibbs gives her the gas cap of the car that I believe she said there was an accident that happened. She said it was a murder. And so they look into it and find out that it was actually the car was hacked into and the brakes were shut off. And so it was a murder. And so Gibbs gives her the gas cap to the car. She feels it and then gives him some information about something that was buried. And so Abby gets the fingerprints off of it and finds out it's her. And then we come to the interrogation and Gibbs lets her know that the gas cap he gave her was actually his, not the car that crashed. So I found that part a little bit interesting. It was a very clever way to point out the fact that she's not actually psychic. This is her subconscious. She believed she was holding that gas cap, and so her subconscious kicked in and she remembered where she buried this one thing. So I really did like how they handled that part. Ultimately, we come to find out that she had lost a daughter, and she thought that she had died peacefully in her sleep, but we come to find out that apparently she did not. In fact, there's some flooring that fell out, and the guys that were killed were responsible for not meeting the right standards for the flooring, and that's why it collapsed. That's why her daughter died. She blamed them. She cracked mentally and went on a killing spree, but didn't even realize it. So there's this last guy that they find out he works for DOD, and apparently he was the reason that the guy who for years was unable to be caught, they find out that he was apparently responsible, or she found out that apparently he was responsible for why this guy continued to evade the law. And it's just, I don't know, it seemed kind of random because there's this one guy that sort of popped up from DOD in Abby's workspace down in the basement of NCIS. He just sort of pops up and reveals himself. He's like, "Hi, I'm DOD. We've been working on this case forever." I'm just like, so you're going to be important later, right? Like, you wouldn't just randomly get lines if you weren't supposed to be important. He's the guy that ends up being the one that was helping this criminal evade the law for so long. So we find out that this woman, Amber, she gets out of her little psych van by controlling it, hacking into it again, which, how was she able to do that? I feel like they didn't explain that part very well, but so she hacks into it, escapes from the van, and then goes to this guy's house. Not only that, but apparently she somehow finds a way to electronically hack into something to turn it into a recording device as well in his house, I think. But ultimately, yeah, she gets into his house, threatens him. He reveals that he does have all of this money that he was, keeping for this guy, and he's offering it to her. And then the NCIS team breaks in, and she's just like, "Oh yeah, there's no bullets in this gun. I just wanted you to confess so you can be taken in." So I did like that little twist. She didn't go in to kill the guy. She was going in there to get a confession out of him. That was nice. And on top of that, it redeems her in the end as well, because she you do kind of feel for her. She lost a daughter, she cracked. Yeah, it kind of sucks that somebody who is, I mean, she was very nice the entire episode. She seemed like a very normal person. So to find out that she lost it mentally after what happened to her daughter, which is kind of understandable. It sucks that she would have to go to jail for something that she didn't even realize she was doing. So the fact that she sort of had a redemption in the end, she didn't go to kill this one guy. She wanted him to be arrested. It was just a nice little thing to throw in at the end. It gave her a redeeming moment. It allowed for this guy to face the judgment as well. So yeah, I did like the end. And then there was a nice little moment with Gibbs where she's talking to him, and even Leon at one point was just like, you seem kind of disappointed that she's not actually psychic. And so as she's leaving at the end, she's saying, I could have sworn you were disappointed when you found out I wasn't actually psychic. And she leaves, and then all of a sudden Gibbs starts hearing a voice, and it's what is his name? It's been so long since he's been in the show. It's his old friend, used to be an NCIS agent together, his old partner. I gotta look it up now because he's been in the show for so long. It's just been such a long time since he's actually been on the show because he died, like, what was that, 8 seasons ago, something like that? Yeah, it's been a long time. As soon as I see his name, I'm going to remember, most likely. Yeah, Mike Franks. He sees him, sitting there, he's just like, yeah, psychic would be a lot better than just hearing voices, right, Gibbs? And so you can kind of see that Gibbs maybe does sort of have a little bit of a connection with some of his past, I wouldn't say past dead people, but I don't know, maybe there is sort of these voices in his head, because he does have a gut. We know that he has that gut feeling that a lot of the time is right. And even at one point, Amber's asking him, like, what about your gut that your whole team is talking about? How is my ability to see this crime, how's that any different than your gut? So, I don't know, they just kind of leave it on a note of maybe Gibbs does have some sort of ability to not necessarily be psychic or talk to the dead, but maybe there are some voices that do help him along the way, that just sort of give him subconscious information that he doesn't even realize that he's picking up on. So, I don't know, it's just a nice little moment there. The other thing to talk about is, in this episode, we see McGee and Delilah are having a little bit of a spat. Hate the fact that she's not really on it at all, because, I mean, I realize that the actress that plays her, she's not really a part of the show that often. I know that. She is more of a side character, but for episodes like this, especially because there's a baby on the way, it kind of feels like maybe she should be at least in the show a little bit. Maybe have a scene or two with her, but she doesn't appear at all. But yeah, so they're having a little bit of a spat because Delilah can't have an ultrasound because of the shrapnel that was in her. It's going to mess up, it might mess up something. So they're going through this thing that it's different than an ultrasound, but it still should be able to find out what sex the baby is, I think. I don't know. I don't really know much about the whole, how all of that works, not having kids at all. I don't know how much of that works, but basically they think they found out the sex of the baby, but Delilah doesn't want McGee to check. And so he tries to check, but then it's flagged and his email is reported and stuff like that. And so he's thinking, oh, I'm a dead man. Well, Delilah calls him at the end of the episode to say there might be a problem. So McGee gets on there again to check. He's like, I need to check and make sure she's okay. Ultimately finds out she's fine. And not only that, but he's having a boy and a girl. They're going to have twins. And I don't know, just like I've said before, McGee and Delilah are probably one of my favorite parts of the show right now, just because they're perfect. And they're a great couple. It's not something that's shown very often, but because typically the show did not handle relationships very well, it felt like for McGee and for Tony, it felt like if they were dating this one girl, the next episode they were done and they were dating somebody else. It never really felt like relationships lasted in the show for the longest time. When McGee and Delilah got together, it actually felt like this was something that had a chance to go. It had a chance to actually create a relationship on the show, and they've done a very good job of it, even though Delilah has not been a part of the show as much. I've really enjoyed seeing their relationship grow, and so now that they're having kids, it's been very fun to see McGee go through the transition of becoming a dad. It's just, I don't know. I really have liked how they've handled that so far. So to find out that he's having twins is just like, it's a nice moment. Everybody's excited for him, and yeah, I really do like it. So overall, episode is pretty good. There are a couple things to talk about though. Apparently, Quinn is off the show. I haven't actually read why or where Jennifer Esposito is. And all, I don't know why she's not on the show anymore. But yeah, so she has not been appearing, and she's not even in the title or the whatever that's called, the credits at the beginning when they're showing all the cast of the show. She's not even a part of that anymore. So yeah, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if she's going to return at some point or if she's just off the show for the season. But whatever the case, Sloane appears to have taken the woman role there. She's doing fine, by the way. I think in this episode it was interesting because you have this woman that might be a psychic, and so you've got this psychologist that's interrogating her and talking to her about these psychic visions. And so seeing her sort of experience this, it's like she probably understands a little bit more than most how the human mind works. And so in a situation like this, what does a psychologist think about psychics? It was fun seeing her reaction to a lot of it, but most of it was just her trying to understand not just how this woman's mind is working, but also how everybody else around her is reacting as well. But yeah, so she's been doing fine, and then on top of that, Reeves wasn't in this episode, so again, I kind of hate how they're in and out, He's just one of those characters that isn't really a part of the show for the most part. He's just appearing in a few episodes, and then he's gone, and then he's back, and then he's gone. The other thing that I do want to talk about, of course, is the serial killer from the last episode, the one that it ends finding out that he actually did do it, and they got him off, and so now he's free to go kill again. Didn't even talk about him at all this episode. Not even whenever they were talking to Amber and they find out that she's actually the killer, there was no sort of reference to like, I'm tired of being duped, because they got duped in the last episode. You think you get duped in this one as well. You find out that the woman that you trusted is actually the killer. It's like, shouldn't you even make a little bit of a reference there? Like, this is the second time we've been duped in the past few weeks. This is it. We're done being duped. We're going to figure this out. We're going to, enough of the liars, enough of the people that are, I don't know, there's just no reference to him at all. He's gone until the next time he pops up again. And that's one of the things that I do have a problem with NCIS, is that typically whenever there is some sort of overarching story or there's things going on behind the scenes that isn't in this episode, it's like it never really gets referenced. And that's a problem for me, because yes, it's more of an episodal type of show where each episode is different, each episode is a different case. Most of the time there's not one big story, it's these little stories with a story that kind of connects here and there. I get that. But you still feel like there should be some connectivity. Like McGee and Delilah. It's been a process. We've seen it connect. We've seen, they were dating at first, and then things really started to kick off between them, and then she had that accident, and things were really worrying for a while, and then they got married, and now they're having kids, and it's like, it's been a story that flows and it connects together. But we've seen, even now, like McGee finding out about the babies, it's like we're getting bits and pieces of McGee and Delilah in about every other episode. It's not like it's every episode they talk about them, but yeah, that's been talked about a bit. It feels like the stories that are important, even more important than what's going on in the characters' lives, the stories like that, where the serial killer, they get him out of jail, they find him innocent of these crimes, so now, double jeopardy, he can no longer be tried for that. That should be important. There should be some mention of him. There should be some sort of, hey, we need to make sure we keep a track on that guy. Hey, have you talked to anybody about him? Have you kept an eye on him? Maybe even say, hey, where's Reeves? Oh, he's, keeping an eye on what's-his-face, making sure that he's, staying on the up and up or whatever. I don't know. I need something to let me know, hey, we're not just pushing this to the side until it comes up again 5 episodes down the road. This is important. This is what our season is about right now, is finding this guy and making sure that he doesn't kill again, or if he does, that we're going to be there to stop him. Because we've already seen he's very clever and can get out of most everything, and he's a very good liar. So, I don't know, it's a problem for me. I'm hoping they'll fix it. I'm hoping next episode maybe there will be some mention, and it's just, it's not going to turn out to be something that we just never hear of again until 5 episodes from now. But those are all my opinions for this one, so let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on this episode? Let me know. You can talk about it, discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future NCIS reviews. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.